So you had to lower yourself down to get under the parapet to clean off all the pigeon muck.
Kneel down on the base there.
If I kneel down, I'll start praying, I think.
Again, when he realised he had to hang over the side of the parapet, he wasn't too happy about that either.
John Noakes, one of the most beloved figures in British television, left an enduring legacy as a daring presenter on Blue Peter. For 12 years, he thrilled audiences with fearless stunts, boundless charm, and his iconic catchphrase, "Get down, Shep." Whether free-falling from staggering heights or climbing Nelson's column without safety equipment, Noakes embodied the adventurous spirit of the show and became a household name. Yet his life after stepping away from the program in 1978 is a captivating tale of reinvention, challenges, and resilience. From public disputes and the heartbreak of parting with his beloved dog Shep to near-death adventures at sea, Noakes' post-Blue Peter journey was as dynamic as his time on screen. The bitter departure.
Now, if you saw the programme on what goes on behind the scenes to get Blue Peter on the air, you'll realise that television is a very complicated business.
John Noakes' departure from Blue Peter in June 1978 was far more than the end of a long-running television career. It marked the conclusion of an era that had redefined children's programming. But the exit itself was marred by strife, a culmination of years of behind-the-scenes tensions. For much of his time on the show, Noakes found himself at odds with producer Biddy Baxter, whose rigid management style clashed with his free-spirited, adventurous nature. Noakes later described Baxter as controlling and unyielding, someone who stifled his creativity and diminished his contributions. Despite his immense popularity and the countless risks he took to entertain audiences, such as his perilous climb up Nelson's column, Noakes felt underappreciated. He claimed he was underpaid, overworked, and left vulnerable by inadequate insurance for his many stunts. The breaking point came with his infamous dog money dispute over Shep, the border collie who had become as much a part of Blue Peter as Noakes himself. When the BBC stopped funding Shep's upkeep after Noakes' departure, he was infuriated. Shep had lived with Noakes during his tenure, and the pair's bond was evident to millions of viewers. Yet, with no financial support to cover Shep's care, Noakes felt forced to make a heart-wrenching decision. He reluctantly relinquished the dog, who went to live with a family friend, Edith Menzies. This separation haunted Noakes for years, exacerbated by public misunderstandings and his later use of a Shep lookalike in dog food advertisements, a move that further strained his relationship with the BBC. The bitterness surrounding his departure extended beyond Shep. Noakes felt increasingly trapped by his on-screen persona, which he disparagingly referred to as Idiot Noakes. This exaggerated, clownish version of himself was far removed from the introspective and thoughtful man he was off-camera. His discontent boiled over in later interviews, where he expressed regret for ever joining Blue Peter, lamenting the toll it had taken on his mental health and creative ambitions. Noakes described the relentless schedule, recounting one grueling stretch where he worked for 9 weeks with barely any days off. He came dangerously close to a breakdown, feeling like a cog in a machine rather than a valued performer. Even after leaving the show, Noakes' relationship with Blue Peter remained fraught. He boycotted the 20th and 25th anniversary celebrations, citing unresolved conflicts with Baxter and other producers. While he eventually agreed to pre-record a message for the 20th anniversary, he refused to attend in person, and his absence from the 25th anniversary only fueled rumors of lingering animosity. Despite these tensions, his fans' admiration never wavered. To them, Noakes was the daring and charismatic presenter who had redefined children's television, even as his own relationship with that legacy grew increasingly complicated. Adventures and near disasters.
Green for go! Suddenly all my training made sense. 1003, 1004, 1005, clear the slipstream, then into freefall position. And all this with the ground clearly visible 2 miles below.
Leaving Blue Peter allowed John Noakes to explore a life untethered from the constraints of studio filming and network demands. His follow-up series, Go with Noakes, showcased his adventurous spirit in a way that felt more aligned with his true self. This series, which aired until 1980, took Noakes across the UK as he engaged in activities that ranged from aerobatics to motor racing. Often accompanied by Shep, the show maintained a connection to his Blue Peter roots while allowing Noakes to embrace a freer, more independent style of presenting. But for Noakes, the boundaries of television were still too limiting. His desire for adventure led him to take risks that many would never consider. In 1982, Noakes and his wife, Vicky, set sail for the Caribbean, aiming to trade the structured life of Britain for the open waters of the Atlantic. The journey nearly ended in catastrophe when their boat encountered a hurricane. Battling 60-foot waves, Noakes suffered broken ribs and a deep gash above his eye that left a permanent scar. Rescued by a passing tanker, the couple returned to shore shaken but undeterred. This harrowing experience underscored the depth of Noakes' adventurous nature, as even near death could not quell his wanderlust. In 1984, the couple set sail again, determined to live a life of freedom and exploration. This time, their journey brought them to Majorca, where a planned 3-day stop turned into a permanent relocation. The island's tranquility and slower pace of life enchanted Noakes and Vicky, leading them to establish a new life far removed from the spotlight. For Noakes, Majorca represented more than just a home. It was a sanctuary where he could leave behind the pressures of fame and rediscover a sense of peace. Reinvention in Majorca.
Right. It locks itself on, doesn't it? Yep. Right, a bit of motion. Nice and slow. That's it, keep that.
Life in Majorca provided John Noakes the opportunity to redefine himself away from the public eye. Free from the constant demands of television, he immersed himself in pursuits that reflected his quieter, introspective side. Together with Vicky, he launched a boat rental business, turning their shared love of the sea into a livelihood. This enterprise allowed Noakes to remain connected to the maritime lifestyle he adored while embracing a slower pace of life that stood in stark contrast to his high-energy television persona. Noakes also discovered a passion for painting, particularly watercolors. Inspired by the natural beauty of Majorca, he created serene landscapes that often featured almond and carob trees. His artistic endeavors brought him great satisfaction, and a modest exhibition of his work earned him £150, a small sum, but one that filled him with pride. Painting became a form of therapy, a way for Noakes to channel his creativity into something deeply personal and meaningful. Ever the lifelong learner, Noakes also trained in the Michael Thomas method of language tuition, eventually becoming a tutor in Romance languages. This unexpected career path highlighted a lesser-known side of Noakes, his intellectual curiosity and love for teaching. For someone who had once been known as a daredevil and action man, these quieter pursuits marked a significant transformation, allowing him to explore aspects of himself that had been overshadowed during his television years. As time passed, John began to reflect more deeply on his life and career. Though his criticisms of Blue Peter remained sharp, there were moments of reconciliation that hinted at a softening of his stance. In 1998, he reunited with Valerie Singleton and Peter Purves for the show's 40th anniversary. This nostalgic reunion allowed Noakes to reconnect with his co-presenters and acknowledge the positive impact they had made together. 2 years later, they reunited once more to dig up a time capsule they'd buried in 1971. The final chapter.
Now, for millions of girls and boys growing up in the 1960s and 70s, Blue Peter presenter John Noakes was the person they wanted to be like when they grew up.
The later years of John's life brought new challenges, particularly his battle with Alzheimer's disease. Diagnosed in his 70s, the condition gradually took its toll, leading to memory loss and moments of vulnerability far removed from the indomitable image many associated with him. In 2015, a particularly alarming episode occurred when Noakes went missing during a storm in Majorca. Found hours later in a storm drain, the incident underscored the fragility of his condition. On May 28, 2017, he passed away at age 83. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your fondest memory of John's incredible career? Let us know in the comments section below.